Hi, I'm Kate. Before I dive into my story, I'd really appreciate it if you could like and subscribe. It's been a wild journey, and I can't wait to share it with you. I remember that Thursday vividly. The sun was dipping low, casting a golden glow on our small home. It was supposed to be a special night. Mark was about to graduate, and I wanted to surprise him. I had spent the day running between my two jobs, my mind buzzing with excitement over the dinner I had planned. I pushed open the door, expecting to find Mark lounging on the couch, but the house was silent. My eyes landed on a scribbled note on the kitchen counter. Out with friends, back late. M. A small twinge of disappointment pinched my heart, but I brushed it off. Why not join them? Surprise him there? I changed quickly and headed out to the cafe where they usually hung out. The evening air was brisk, and the cafe's lights spilled onto the sidewalk, casting a warm, inviting glow. I could hear laughter and chatter as I approached, a sound that usually brought me comfort. I was about to step in when I heard his voice, unmistakable and laced with excitement. Curiosity piqued. I moved closer, hiding behind one of the outdoor planters. There they were, Mark and Emily, my best friend. Their heads were close together, too close. "We can finally go on that trip to Maui," I heard Mark say, his hand brushing hers. "Once I graduate, and with Kate out of the picture..." My heart plummeted. Was I hearing this right? The words sliced through me, each syllable a betrayal. "Kate's been so clueless," Emily's voice, once so familiar and comforting, now dripped with contempt. "I mean, paying for his college while we've been..." I couldn't listen anymore. My feet moved before my brain could catch up, propelling me towards them. The clatter of my approach drew their attention, and their guilty expressions confirmed everything. "Kate, this is not what it looks like," Mark stuttered, standing up quickly, knocking his chair back. I couldn't hold back. "4 years, I supported you through everything. And you, Emily, my best friend." My voice was shaking, but I needed them to know, to see the pain they caused. Mark's eyes were cold, devoid of the warmth I once loved. "Listen, Kate, it's over. I've moved on. You should too." The surrounding patrons were now silent, watching the drama unfold. I felt exposed, humiliated. Emily just sat there, a smug smile playing on her lips. I spun on my heel, leaving the cafe and their whispered judgments behind. I sank into the driver's seat of my car, my safe haven. The tears came then, unbidden and unstoppable. I sat there, letting myself feel the full weight of their betrayal. As the tears subsided, a spark ignited within me. All those years, all the sacrifices, my dreams, my aspirations, all put on hold for Mark. I thought of my camera, gathering dust in the closet, a symbol of my forgotten passion for photography. No more. I wiped my tears, a newfound resolve taking shape. They thought they could discard me so easily. I'd show them. I'd prove to myself, more than anyone, that I was worth more than their deceit and betrayal. In that moment, sitting alone in my car, the remnants of my shattered dreams around me, I made a decision. I wouldn't just move on. I'd rise above. I'd make them regret ever underestimating me. The drive home was a blur, my mind racing with plans and possibilities. I was done being the victim. It was time for Kate to take the stage, and this was just the opening act. So, after that night, I knew I had to do something. Revenge? Maybe. Justice? Definitely. I found myself sitting across from Leo, an old friend and a tech whiz, in a dimly lit coffee shop downtown. My plan was forming, but I needed his help. "So, you want to bring them down, huh?" Leo's eyes gleamed with a mix of concern and intrigue as he sipped his coffee. "Exactly. I need evidence. Proof of their lies. Can you do that?" I asked, feeling a surge of determination. Leo leaned in, tapping away on his laptop. "Let's see what the digital world has to say about our dear Mark and Emily." We spent hours digging through social media, emails, anything we could legally get our hands on. Leo was a wizard with this stuff, uncovering a trail of deceit so clear it was almost too easy. "Look at this, Kate. Texts, emails, pictures. It's like they wanted to get caught." Leo's voice was a mix of amusement and disgust. I peered over his shoulder at the screen. It was all there. Dates they lied about, trips they took, even receipts for gifts Mark bought for Emily with the money I gave him. My blood boiled, but I kept my cool. This was just the ammunition I needed. I thanked Leo and left the coffee shop with a plan. The next step? Physical strength. I needed to feel as strong on the outside as I was beginning to feel on the inside. I found a local gym and signed up for kickboxing classes. The first session was brutal. I was sore for days, but I loved it. Each punch and kick was a release, a way to channel my anger and hurt into something empowering. During this time, I also picked up my camera again. Photography had always been my passion, a way to see the world through a different lens, literally. I started a project, capturing images of other women who had overcome adversity. It was therapeutic, talking to them, sharing our stories, and capturing their strength in my photographs. It was like rediscovering a part of myself that I had lost in those 4 years with Mark. One evening, after a particularly intense kickboxing session, I was looking through the photographs I had taken. The women in these images were incredible, resilient, strong, unbroken despite everything. That's when it hit me. I would share these stories, our stories. I started a blog, posting the photos and the stories of these amazing women, including my own. It gained traction, and before I knew it, I had a following. My confidence was growing every day, but I wasn't done with Mark and Emily yet. They had to know how it felt to be betrayed, to be exposed for who they really were. I had all the evidence I needed, and with Leo's help, we began to plan the perfect moment to reveal it all. The days leading up to the reveal were intense. I was a mix of nerves and excitement. I would lie awake at night, going over the plan, making sure everything was perfect. This wasn't just about revenge anymore. It was about justice, about showing them and everyone else that you can't just use people and expect no consequences. The air was electric at the community event. The town square was a hive of activity, with people milling around, laughter and music filling the air. Mark and Emily were there, mingling among the crowd, unaware of the storm about to break. I was there too, phone in hand, heart pounding. This was it. With Leo's help, the social media campaign was ready to go live. It was a series of posts, photos, texts, emails, all the evidence laid out for everyone to see, the story of betrayal, in black and white. "Ready when you are, Kate?" Leo's voice was steady over the phone. I took a deep breath, watching Mark and Emily from across the square. "Do it." As soon as Leo released the posts, the reactions were immediate. Phones buzzed and chimed around the square. I watched as faces turned from curiosity to shock. Whispers turned into loud discussions. "Have you seen this? Kate just exposed Mark and Emily. Can you believe it? All this time they were lying to her." I saw Mark's phone buzz in his hand. His face drained of color as he read. Emily saw it too. Their eyes met, panic setting in. "This can't be happening." Emily's voice trembled. "Kate did this? She's ruined us." Mark's voice was a mix of anger and fear. The murmurs around me grew louder. Some people looked at me with sympathy, others with respect. I felt their eyes on me, but I stood tall. This was my moment of truth. "Is it true, Kate?" A familiar voice broke through the noise. It was Mrs. Henderson, my old high school teacher. Her eyes were kind, concerned. "Yes, Mrs. Henderson, every word of it." My voice was calm, stronger than I felt. "I'm so sorry, dear. You didn't deserve any of this." Her hand on my shoulder was warm, comforting. The crowd's reactions were a mix of shock and support. Some people glared at Mark and Emily. Others shook their heads in disbelief. "Did you see this coming, Kate?" someone from the crowd asked. "No, I didn't, but I'm glad I know the truth now." My response was met with nods of agreement. "Good for you. Standing up to them," another voice chimed in. I watched as Mark and Emily tried to leave, heads bowed, whispers following them like a dark cloud. I felt a mix of triumph and sadness. I had exposed them, but at what cost? The hurt was still there, deep inside. The event continued, but the atmosphere had changed. People came up to me, offering words of support, sharing their own stories of heartache and betrayal. It was overwhelming, but in a way, it was healing. As the evening wore on, I realized this was more than just revenge. It was a statement. I had taken back control of my story. I was no longer just the victim of Mark and Emily's deceit. I was Kate, strong and resilient. The night ended with a sense of closure. The posts had opened a floodgate of support and understanding. I had stood up for myself, And in doing so, I had touched the lives of others. As I walked home, the weight on my shoulders felt lighter. The pain was still there, but it was different now. I had taken the first step towards healing, towards moving on, and I knew, deep down, that I would come out of this stronger than ever. This wasn't the end of my story. It was just the beginning. The charity auction was buzzing with the local crowd. I was there, camera in hand, capturing the event for my blog. My involvement in the community had grown since that night, and with it, my blog had gained a lot of traction. People were drawn to my story, and in turn, I was drawn to theirs. As I moved through the crowd, snapping photos, a familiar, uncomfortable buzz filled the room. Mark and Emily had just arrived. I could feel their presence like a dark cloud. But I wasn't the same person I used to be. I focused on my work, the camera a shield between me and my past. "Kate, you're doing great with your blog. It's really inspiring." Mrs. Jenkins, the town librarian, smiled as she approached me. "Thanks, Mrs. Jenkins. It's been a therapeutic journey for me." "Mark and Emily are here. Are you okay?" Her concern was genuine. I looked over at them, mingling awkwardly. "I'm fine. They don't have power over me anymore." As I turned to walk away, the auctioneer announced a surprise addition, a public apology from Mark and Emily. The room went silent. This was unexpected. "Kate, we want to publicly apologize for our actions. We are truly sorry for the pain we caused." Mark's voice was shaky, his eyes not meeting mine. "Yeah, we never meant to hurt you, Kate," Emily added, but her eyes darted around the room, not settling on anything. The room waited for my reaction. I took a deep breath, my heart pounding in my chest. This was a moment I hadn't anticipated. "I appreciate your apology, but it doesn't change anything. What's done is done. I've moved on, and I suggest you do the same." My voice was steady, my words clear. I saw a few nods of approval around the room. The auction continued, but the atmosphere had shifted. The rest of the evening I spent talking to people, sharing stories of resilience and strength. My photography project was coming along, featuring community members who had overcome adversity. It was empowering, both for me and for those whose stories were told through my lens. As I packed up my camera, I realized how much I had grown. The Kate who had walked into the cafe months ago was a distant memory. I was stronger now, more resilient, and as I walked out of the auction, I felt a sense of peace. I was finally turning the page on this chapter of my life. My blog continued to grow, and with it, my photography project. I was finding purpose in my pain, turning it into something positive. It wasn't just about me anymore. It was about a community of people, sharing their stories, finding strength in each other. And that's how I knew I had reached a turning point. I wasn't defined by my past, or the people who had hurt me. I was defining myself, through my work, my art, and my resilience. Mark and Emily were just a chapter in my story, a story that I was writing every day, with each photo I took and each post I wrote. I had found my voice, and I was using it to tell not just my story, but the stories of those around me. And as I lay in bed that night, I realized that this was just the beginning. There was so much more to come, and I was ready for it. Ready to keep growing, keep sharing, and keep empowering myself and others. This was my turning point, and I was only going up from here. The community event was bustling, a perfect backdrop for a speech I never imagined I'd give. As I stood backstage, I could feel the weight of my journey on my shoulders. This was more than a speech. It was a testament to my growth and resilience. Alex, whom I had met a few months back at a local art exhibit, was there with me. Our connection was built on shared interests and mutual respect, a stark contrast to my past relationship. "You'll do great, Kate. Your story, it's powerful." Alex's voice was encouraging, his hand gently squeezing mine. "I hope so. It's not just my story anymore. It's for everyone who's faced something similar." As I stepped onto the stage, the crowd hushed. The bright lights were blinding, but I felt grounded. I took a deep breath and began. "Thank you everyone for being here tonight. I'm here to talk about a journey, my journey from betrayal to empowerment." The crowd was silent, attentive. I talked about the pain, the betrayal, and how it had shattered me. But then, I shifted to my revival. How I found strength in kickboxing, solace in photography, and a voice through my blog. Empowerment isn't just about overcoming. It's about reclaiming your life, your identity, and I couldn't have done it without the support of this community. I glanced at Alex, his eyes filled with pride. I spoke about our project, photographing resilient members of our community, and how each story had inspired me further. We all face challenges, but it's not just the falling down that counts. It's the getting back up, each and every time. The crowd erupted into applause. I felt a wave of emotions, pride, relief, peace. I had turned my pain into purpose, my anguish into action. As the applause died down, a woman in the front row stood up. "Your story, it's inspired me to face my own struggles. Thank you, Kate." Her words hit me deeply. This was why I shared my story, to inspire, to empower. After my speech, the crowd mingled, and I was flooded with people thanking me, sharing their stories. Alex was right by my side, his support unwavering. As the event wound down, I stood with Alex, looking out at the dispersing crowd. "You were amazing out there, Kate. Truly. I couldn't have done it without you, Alex. You've been my rock." We walked out together, the cool night air a stark contrast to the warmth of the event. As I looked up at the stars, I felt a deep sense of peace and closure. My journey had brought me here, to this moment of triumph. "Where to now, Kate?" Alex asked, his hand in mine. "Forward, always forward. There's so much more to do, to share, to experience." And with that, we walked on, into the night, and into a future that was bright with possibilities. My story of betrayal had turned into a story of triumph, and I was just getting started. The tale of Kate's transformation, her path from deep betrayal to empowering triumph, has reached its conclusion. This journey raises a compelling question. Was Kate's choice to pursue justice and deny forgiveness to Mark and Emily the right one? Could forgiveness have offered her a different kind of peace, or was her path of retribution necessary for her growth and self-empowerment? This story isn't just about Kate. It's about the choices we all face when wronged. So I'd love to hear your thoughts. Do you believe in forgiveness regardless of the situation? Or do you think there are times when it's more important to stand up and fight back like Kate did? Dive into the comments and let's discuss. And while you're here, if this story resonated with you or provoked your thoughts, please show your support by liking this video and subscribing to the channel. Your engagement helps bring more stories like Kate's to life. Your opinion matters here, so let's start a conversation.